Thank you for stopping by. I am Jeffrey Weiss, your political activist, keeping you informed of local and world events. Today we discuss justice in America, the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, 2014. The DA of Ferguson, Mr. McCullough, the man who impaneled the grand jury to decide whether or not to indict Officer Darren Wilson, who shot Michael Brown 11 times, is a prejudiced, arrogant man looking to become mayor of the city or even greater, possibly a congressman or senator. McCullough's father was a police officer and was killed on the job in 1964 by an African-American man when McCullough was 12. In addition to his father, McCullough's brother and uncle and cousin all served with the police department in St. Louis, and his mother worked as a clerk at the department. He should have recused himself at the very start. It was an act of arrogance and fraud since he said he could be non-prejudiced. It was also a legal conflict of interest. Officer Darren Wilson's first job was in Jennings, Missouri, where he was a police officer at a department so dysfunctional and so mired in tensions between the white police officers and black residents that the local government disbanded the department and fired every officer, according to the Washington Post. The Jennings City Council then brought in entirely new officers to start a credible police department from scratch. Wilson had no disciplinary actions on his record, according to Ferguson Police Chief Tom Jackson. The police chief also described Wilson as a gentle, quiet man and a distinguished officer. However, in 2013, Wilson arrested a man, Mike Aram, for recording the officer without his permission. Wilson claimed the man was interfering with a policeman conducting an investigation, but the video's footage disproved Wilson's claim about the encounter, and the charges against Armand were eventually dropped. There were 22,000 grand juries impaneled last year. On only 11 occasions did the grand jury decide not to indict. 11 out of 22,000. In Ferguson last year, 86% of stops, 92% of searches, 93% of arrests were of black people, despite the fact that police officers were far less likely to find contraband on black drivers. This worsened inequality as struggling blacks funded local government than relatively affluent whites did. There were 26,000 citations issued in Ferguson last year out of a population of 21,000. That is more than one citation for every man, woman, and child in the city. Those violations paid for 33% of the city's budget. Blacks are cash cows that the white city leaders milk, and they're not going to let go of that anytime soon. Eric Garner, New York City. The officer who killed Eric Garner, Daniel Pantaleo, was an 8-year New York Police Department veteran at the time of the incident. The New York Police Department stripped him of his badge and gun on July 19th and relegated him to desk duty. Pantaleo was sued twice in the past for alleged racially motivated misconduct while on the job. 2 black men accused him in 2012 of subjecting them to an illegal strip search in broad daylight. Pantaleo purportedly taped each man's testicles during the search, which he claimed was an effort to discover any contraband, the Daily News reported. The suit was settled last January. In a second lawsuit, a man named Ron Walker accused a group of New York Police Department officers, including Pantaleo, of arresting him, despite the fact he was committing no crime at the time and was not acting in a suspicious manner, and of including misleading data on a police department record to justify the arrest. Charges against the man were ultimately dismissed. We need to be very clear. This is not simply the police versus the black community, even though the ratio of black men killed by police compared to white men killed by police is 22-1. You may think, well, I am white and I did not commit crimes, therefore this is not going to affect me. Well, you'd be wrong. The definition of what constitutes a crime is changing rapidly, and the police response, deadly, immediate, often unprovoked, is increasing parabolically. And that violent, out-of-control response is increasingly aimed at demonstrators, i.e. the Occupy movements, and reporters doing their job, and citizens observing police action, police protest, people protesting, often peaceably. The only people who can really hold the police accountable are people like the reporters, the independent reporters. For the police, traditionally, their mission has been serve and protect. We are the community. For the military, their prime directive is us versus the enemy, kill or be killed. If it looks like a soldier, is armed like a soldier, and it thinks like a soldier, then a cop is a soldier. In regards to protest and seeking change in government policy, either local, state, or federal, I see a greater chance of true democracy evolving in Russia or China than in America. I'm not giving up, but I am saying it's going to take an even greater level of commitment and risk to change what has occurred. If my articles interest you, please use the link to check out my website and books. Thank you very much.